but they can be for other types of amenities along those routes. And I'm not going to read through all of these for your own sake of time. So what to know, we have been in the past limiting to 2 application submittals per jurisdiction with representation on the TPO. So that means the city of Pensacola can submit 2 applications, the Escambia County can submit 2, Santa Rosa County can submit 2. That's all due to the fact that the TPO in February of next year, they are going to provide a resolution to FDOT with only 2 identified projects. So we only want to see each jurisdiction's top 2. There's no point in them submitting 3 if the TPO is only going to go forward with 2. We will be, again, utilizing FDOT's grant application process, or GAAP program. And we will have a review workshop in January prior to the TPO meeting in February to allow the local governments to review those final scores. So whenever you submit the application, you will score your project with all the pertinent information as backup to justify those scorings. And then our staff is going to review those. We will verify those scores. In January, we'll have that workshop and go over any changes that we saw that, if we needed to adjust the scoring, and allow everyone to see everyone else's application. So the project scoring criteria must be completed and submitted with the FDOT TA application. We've got two documents on our website, and I think Ray's going to add that to our chat. We've got the project scoring criteria PDF, and then we've got a supplemental guidelines that kind of further explains the criteria. So that means, like I said, you need to fill out the appropriate points that you are claiming is your project score and justify those. And that way you'll know how, kind of how competitive your application is. We do ask that you attach any requested supplemental data, including maps, document references, and any other kind of data that goes along with the project scoring criteria. And we're going to go over all the criteria in just a minute, and kind of that backup information that will be required. So that way, whenever you say your project is within 2 miles of a school, well, show it on a map, put a 2-mile buffer with the school in that, and it'll be easy for us to verify. That way we're not having to also do the analysis on our end to verify those scores, and it'll make it a little bit smoother of a process. And like I said, we've got the supplemental guidelines also on our website that further helps clarify the criteria and what we're asking, and also some resources to where to find the appropriate data. So for the Florida Alabama TPO, the current project scoring criteria, y'all have identified 6 criteria, with safety being the number 1 with 25 total points. All others are 15 points. And then we've got an extra 5-point bonus for local contribution and public support. So for the first criterion, safety, we're asking for crash data to get those points. You can use the Signal 4 analytics data. And if you have any, problems accessing that, I think everyone on here is used to this process and has access to Signal 4. And if you are claiming crashes that are not in the Signal 4 database, then you will need to just contact us and, show us how you're doing that and what your source is. So other ways to get points for the safety criteria is avoiding moderate and high crash corridors. Again, use that Signal 4 analytics to report for a corridor within 1/4 of the project. So if you're building a sidewalk, kind of like parallel to a major high crash corridor to get people walking further away from that high crash corridor, then that's where you can get that kind of point. For improving safety issues, improves mobility or for disabled, elderly, or youth population. You can provide the name and address of the affected facility and note that on the map. For improving access to areas within or adjacent to an area with 50% households below the poverty rate, we do ask that you use the census data for that. For design encourages traffic calming or vehicle lane narrowing, we will need some type of site plan, conceptual rendering, or narrative describing those design components. The last safety issue is reduces traffic volume in tourist or commercial areas. Just show us a map identifying those areas that you're claiming. Another subcategory for the safety criteria is reduces human exposure, and we've got 2 different ways to claim those points. Physical separation barrier, again, provide a description, a map, or a site plan denoting the type of physical barrier. And then define space, again, we're just asking you, if you claim those points, please describe or have some type of attachment that quantifies that. And the last one is vehicle traffic. You'll need to use the AADT, or average annual daily traffic numbers, for the roadway facility. If multiple roadways are part of the project, use the highest AADT. Don't add them up. And if claiming AADT for a roadway within a 1/4 mile of the project because of its ability to reduce exposure, like I said, that example before of, building a sidewalk less than a 1/4 mile away from a high traffic or high crash corridor to get people off of that, just justify that and of why you're using a different roadway AADTs to claim that number, that point. All right, criteria 2 is connectivity. There's 2 types of way to get some points for this criterion. It's general connectivity. Again, just provide maps or descriptions to justify why you're claiming those points, whether that's improved access, connecting gaps, or providing bike ped facilities, or conforming to existing plans. For transit connectivity, show the distance from the transit stop on the map. The third criterion is location efficiency, and in the criteria guidelines and the supplemental guidelines, it further defines what is a high interest, moderate interest, and low interest destination. And again, just provide name and location of each claimed destination of interest, and be reasonable as to the distance from the project that you're submitting. All right, criterion 4, proximity to school. You'll get points if the project is within 1 or 2 miles of a school. Again, name and address of the school, preferably on a map so we can see that 1 or 2 mile buffer, and how the school is within that distance. So criterion 5 is design quality. So there's lots of different ways to get these points. If it addresses both walking and biking, that's a way to have points. Buffered or protected bike lane or multi-use path, kind of a higher level facility other than, just a bike lane adjacent to the road. If there's amenities like bike parking or seating for pedestrians, trailheads, a staging area, and parking, those kind of amenities that go along with bike ped facilities. Even fitness stations, public art, lighting, wayfinding, signage. Or if prior phases under construction, if prior phases are under construction or have been completed as part of a, an overall like sidewalk plan for the area. And then if right-of-way is, if you already have the right-of-way or, none is needed, just will need a statement confirming that. And again, for all these kind of design elements, we'll just need that to be included in the narrative of the project description, or if you have, renderings or a site plan that shows these design amenities. All right, criterion 6 is environmental, archaeological, and historic preservation. Historically, this is one that's not a lot of applications receive these points, but we have had applications in the past that have, just because this is, this program is more geared towards safety and alleviating those safety concerns that this type of criteria or project doesn't always have that direct correlation. However, some of these even bike ped facilities go through historic areas that can have certain elements to help with this type of criteria. And again, I'm not going to go over each of these because it's a lot of detail. Just know that if you are claiming any of these points, again, we ask that you provide that in the narrative or, in whatever way that makes sense. If it's, a site plan, a rendering, or just a description or a statement saying that the project is going to address this issue. And for bonus points, local contribution. So if it includes any monetary or non-monetary contribution, please just include that in the narrative and application. And for public support, this can be letters of support from local governments, private sources, and public sources. It must be signed and dated within the past 3 years. So if you have some projects that you're resubmitting, just check on the dates for those letters of support. While the TPO criteria does not require a resolution, the FDOT application does. And I think we'll get a little bit more into that as to the timeline for a resolution. Yeah, so the overall schedule is the application package is due December 17th, 2021, by the end of the day, pretty much. That's a Friday. I will, and that's due on the Florida GAAP website. I will then access that probably Monday morning and pull everyone's applications and start reviewing those and, confirming the rankings. I may be in contact with y'all if I have questions. And then we will have an application review workshop in early January, just to go over as a group the scorings and the rankings, and if any adjustments are needed to be made. And then we will bring the final rankings to the TPO in February, for the TPO to have that resolution for the top 2 TA projects. So speaking of that resolution, that's not part of the criteria, but is required as part of the FDOT application. We are willing to work with y'all. We do ask you to get on your December board meetings and get that resolution. But if you can, we're willing to work with you. If you can't turn it in by that December date, if we can just make sure we have it before the review workshop in January as like a firmer deadline, just to make sure we have those points and or everything is tidied up in a nice neat bow for submittal for the February TPO meetings. Now I'm going to turn it over to Maria to talk about the FDOT side, the GAAP process. Maria?
Hey, good morning, guys. Maria Showalter with DOT. Thank you, Jill. I think you've presented the program fairly well and your experience of bike ped and so forth. Just jumping right into it, the application is going to be the same this year as it was last year and the year before, where we revamped our application. It is a 8-page application, but most of you know that we have pretty much made it user-friendly, and we're asking information that we need to fairly review the projects. So the first 2 pages that you've seen were just the solicitation. If y'all have not seen those first 2 pages, the solicitations were sent out last week. So if you have not seen those, please reach out to me so I can make sure that you get a copy of those. They will also be posted on our North Florida Roads website. They have not updated that yet for me, but I do expect that in the next few days. So Jill's clicking through the application. As I said, it's just like it was last year. It does seem cumbersome. It is 8 pages long, but just be reassured that the information that we're asking in these applications are very important information for us to be able to review your project in a complete manner. Does anyone have any questions on our application? Okay, we'll just jump right forward then. Again, like Jill said, the applications will have to be submitted in the the GAAP process. Last year, D3 elected to go ahead and do that. It wasn't mandatory last year. But I went ahead and did that since I knew that most of my locals were already familiar with the GAAP process, but that will continue from here on out. The application is available in the GAAP, and also the scoring criteria for each TPO is located when you go to apply in GAAP. So you'll be able to select which TPO scoring criteria that you need. Like Jill said, you have to submit that with your application in the GAAP. If you'll just click forward one. So just a brief overview. I think most of you should be familiar with the GAAP, but this is the logon page. If you do not have a logon, reach out to me and we can get you a logon. But it's fairly simple. You get a logon. If you get locked out, you can go through the forget password. So if you don't have access, please get with me as soon as possible so we can get you access. Go ahead and click forward. I'm just going to show some quick pages and a quick overview just for if some of y'all aren't familiar with it. When you log in, there'll be tabs across the top. So you want to select the application tab, click forward one. And then once you click that, you want to go over to your left-hand side and choose grant opportunities. And the opportunities that are available for your area will be posted on here, whether it's TA, TRIP, or any of the local programs, or Safe Routes to School, There's a lot of other programs that are going through GAAP now, beautification, and so forth. So any grant opportunities that are available for your area will be posted under this grant opportunities. Click forward one. And what you'll do is you'll see where you select your organization at the top, where I have Bay County is actually a drop-down list. So you'll select your area, and then it'll give you those opportunities. And once you select the opportunity that you need, like transportation alternative, you'll just click apply. So click forward one for me, please. And then it'll take you, and this is the beginning page of the actual application. You'll just give a brief description and click forward one more. And these are the tabs below on the next page that you'll see where all of these documents, except for the TPO criteria, you have to select which TPO, but every other document, you have to add a document in there in order for you to be able to get the green light at the end of the application process to submit. So be sure that all of your boxes are checked or highlighted green on the left-hand side. Click forward one. And this is what I'm saying at the top of the page. See the status where it says not submitted. It will continue to say not submitted if you don't have all of those documents attached in a green check on the left-hand side. But once you have all of those documents attached, it'll give you a button that'll allow you to do your final submission. Does anybody have any questions? So it's a pretty simple process. Like I said, it's the same as it was last year. I think that's my last slide, Jill, is it? Okay. So if y'all have any questions, please reach out to me. I can walk you through the process or help you with any kind of stumps that you're having on the application as well. So please reach out to me if you have any questions. Thank you, Jill.
Thank you, Maria. So next we're going to go over some frequently asked questions, and then we'll have mine and Maria's contact information on the very last slide. So, all right. First frequently asked question is, can I turn the resolution in late? So yeah, that's what I was saying before. There's a small window of time after that December 17th deadline for resolutions to be submitted, but they should definitely be submitted before January's technical workshop to review those scores. We are asking and urging you to get on your local government's December meeting agenda. Another question we get is, if design has already been approved, do I need to submit an application for construction? Yes. So for previous projects, you do need to submit an application again to try to receive funding to finish out all the phases through construction. Moving forward, and I know we said this last year, but I'll say it again this year, FDOT is trying to fund design and construction of a project together. That way it will just be one submittal. Is there a limit to the request for funding? No, not technically, but there's approximately $2 million available for the TA program for District 3 of FDOT, which is a 16 county region. And for the 3 TPOs that ECRC staffs, we're asking for 2 projects from each. And then there's the Capital Region TPO in Tallahassee. So just be aware and cognizant of project costs to increase the project viability. You know, they're probably not likely to submit or to fund a $1 million project when half the funding for the district would go to one project, you know. Is a match required? No match is required for the Transportation Alternatives Program in Florida. Pretty much FDOT takes care of that required local match because these are federal funds. However, a local contribution is always viewed favorably. Can TA funds fund removal and construction of new sidewalks? So they can if it's rehabilitation of existing sidewalks as part of the Americans with Disability or ADA, if it's a ADA compliance project. And we would need support documentation such as an ADA survey to define those ADA upgrades in the project description. Otherwise, routine maintenance and replacement is not eligible. How do I know what kind of construction elements and design criteria is allowed? Again, on that, the northwestfloridaroads.com/planning, FDOT has the Transportation Alternative Set Aside Program Guidance and Procedures. And you can also use the FDOT Manual of Uniform Minimum Standards for Design, Construction, and Maintenance, known as the Florida Green Book. Do I need cost estimate signed by a PE? No, that's not required. You can ensure that the detailed cost estimates are provided. There's a sample construction cost estimate sheet also on that Northwest Florida Planning or northwestfloridaroads.com page. Does the local government applying for TA funds need to be LAP certified? And that's local agency program. So if the project gets funded, the government agency administering the project must be LAP certified. So if you're planning on submitting a project and you are not, please apply for the LAP certification. All right, that is all I have. Here is our contact information that we will leave up, and I will now open it up to any and all comments, questions, or concerns. All right. We thank you for attending. If you do think of anything, please reach out to me and or Maria, and we will be happy to help you. All right. Have a good day.